How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There are some massive entities buying Bitcoin here today. We have 3 companies announcing that they're buying earnings. We also have some really important charts to take a look at. Some indicators for where we are in the cycle, where we're going, and Bitcoin very close to all-time highs. Again, it obviously hit all-time highs yesterday, but we're very close to hitting those same all-time highs again, just spitting distance away. And this is really bullish. We're flipping this prior resistance into support. If you want to see future videos just like this, by the way, you can hit subscribe and hit the bell notification. Like the video too, so that way this gets pushed out to more people. If you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to CoinW. You can earn up to $30,000 from doing various things on the website. You can trade all different kinds of cryptos. We've been able to make life-changing money from leverage trading this cycle. Tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But of course, make sure you understand what you're doing. Also, one thing that can help too while trading, they give you a trading group. So if you get verified from using my code, if you just use my code and then you have $20 in your futures account, you can join the trading group that's underneath the video, right below the CoinW sign up link. And you can actually get help from pro traders that will walk you through some of their trades. You can ask them questions. I don't have the time for it with a new one here, with a baby here. And, I'm not staring at the charts all day. I'm looking at other stuff as well. I'm looking at not just technical analysis, but also fundamental. I'm making videos, that kind of stuff. These traders literally just trade all day. So if you want to check that out, there's a link to it underneath the video as well. But of course, you do have to sign up with the link, and then you can get access to those free traders. Michael Saylor, buying 15,350 Bitcoin for about $1.5 billion at $100,400 per Bitcoin. They've been able to get a Bitcoin yield of 46.4% quarter to date and 72.4% year to date. I mean, this thing is a monster. MicroStrategy just buying 15,000 casually in a week. I mean, think about that. That's 2,000 Bitcoin every single day for the last week, and this is the 6th week in a row that they've bought Bitcoin. So imagine that kind of faucet coming in and buying Bitcoin. This is why you don't want to bet against Bitcoin right now, because they bought 200 million basically a day. Let's call it 200 million because it's 2,000 Bitcoin over the last every day over the last week. Actually, a little bit more than that. We have the same thing happening from BlackRock, and some other companies as well are buying significant amounts of Bitcoin. Keep in mind, though, MicroStrategy is a $100 billion company. $100 billion. Now, that's pretty large now. They've grown this from like a $1 billion company 2 years ago. Honestly, that's crazy. It's up about 3,000%. And they've diluted over that time. So they've gone from a $1 billion to a $100 billion company. But think about how small that is compared to some of the nations that are buying or talking about buying. Like, MicroStrategy is able to buy 200 million a day. What can the U.S. government do? What can Russia do? There's more news about Russia here today as well. Let's see if I can find it. This is coming from Forbes. Leak reveals Russia's bid for Bitcoin reserve amid huge 2025 price predictions. And I went through the article. This is talking about there's someone in government that proposed a strategic Bitcoin reserve for Russia. Apparently, they are making it easier to transact with cryptocurrency in Russia. Just a couple weeks ago, Putin was talking about how you can't stop Bitcoin. And it makes sense from a strategic perspective for these countries to go into Bitcoin because there's a fixed supply. It might take some value away from the dollar, as much as U.S. politicians are saying that it won't, that Bitcoin is not competing with the U.S. dollar. It's competing with gold. The fact is it will probably take a little bit of power away from the U.S. dollar, but it also depends on America's stance and how much Bitcoin they're able to get their hands on while they can. But what I'm saying is these countries have so much more firepower than MicroStrategy. The difference is MicroStrategy also has been stacking for years while these countries most likely haven't. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting race to get your hands on some Bitcoin, or get their hands on some Bitcoin. We also have Semler Scientific buying another 211 Bitcoin for 21.5 million at about 102,000. So you're wondering who's buying over 100,000? The large companies that continue to stack. They're not price sensitive. Same thing with the countries. They're not price sensitive. They don't care if Bitcoin's at 60,000, 80,000, 100,000. We've seen Michael Saylor say that he's going to stack Bitcoin over 1 million. He's going to continue to buy no matter what, and he's going to hold. Riot also bought some. They upsized their offering. They were able to buy about, what is it, 67 million, I believe, 667 Bitcoin at an average price of $101,135 per Bitcoin. As a result, Riot has increased their holdings to about 17,429, currently valued at 1.8 billion. I saw another company, another large miner, I think it was Mara, I could be wrong though, it might have been a different company. There's talk about how close they are to getting to 10,000 Bitcoin, which is interesting because last cycle, I don't remember any of these platforms trying to get their hands on Bitcoin like this. Sure, they were mining Bitcoin, but they were also selling a decent amount of Bitcoin. Like their strategy was to make money from essentially selling Bitcoin at some point, whether they bought it or whether they mined it and then sold it right away, or whether they mined it and held it for a couple months. Like their goal was to get out and to be able to buy more miners during the bear market. Now their goal is to stack as much Bitcoin as possible, and that's including buying Bitcoin, because mining Bitcoin doesn't do enough anymore. Like these companies are rotating their business into not just mining, but also being able to stack Bitcoin from these kind of convertible notes. Now, at the same time, MSTR short interest is spiking. Now, maybe this is because it's share denominated. I'm not exactly sure. But the fact is, a lot of shorts are going to get wiped out in MicroStrategy. Now, right now, MicroStrategy not having a huge day. It's up 2.5%. I honestly thought it would be a little bit more explosive with Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs and with the inclusion in the QQQ. My guess is there's some manipulation happening. There's some people trying to play some games so they don't lose out on so much money. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I think MicroStrategy's a coiled spring at this point after some of the news recently. Bitcoin has traded green for 7 consecutive weeks, its longest winning streak in more than 3 years, going all the way back to 2021. But if you think this time is different, it's not. Look at this. Bitcoin market cycle bottom ROI. So if we compare what is this? The third cycle, fourth cycle, and fifth cycle now. So 2017 and 2021 with the cycle here, we are not, we're not overheated compared to the previous cycles. Now we could be overheated in various metrics like RSI because it looks at the velocity. But if we just look at the market, the ROI from market bottom to where we are now, we're at about 6.5. Now, that is close to the farthest down that we've ever been for a cycle. Last cycle, we had a ROI of about 12.4. The cycle before that was a little bit more muted at this point, and it was 5.7. Now, there was a crossover point where 2017 actually really outpaced 2021. But as you can see, like the ROI was around 20 for the last cycle, 21. Now, what's that mean for us? If we did the same thing, 21 times 16,000. Okay, that's well over 300,000 this cycle if we had a similar return. So we might be only 1/3 of the way through this ROI. You look at cycles before this, and we were up at like 400 and 1,000 and stuff like that. So the fact is, we are just right on pace. We're not overheated compared to previous cycles. We're going to see lots of volatility, though, so be ready. Right now, we haven't actually seen a ton of volatility. I know it seems like it, but when you scroll out, like this has been pretty steady, like stair-stepping up. Some volatility for a couple days here and there, but it's been, I'd say, pretty boring, honestly. So like be ready for more volatility. If you want to check out this tool, by the way, this is Into the Cryptoverse. It's a great website that I'm using for so many different risk metrics to see where we're at in the cycle, to gauge where I want to get in and get out of various cryptos. There's a link with 10% off underneath the video. As you can see here too, the valuation versus trend line. This shows the valuation of the entire crypto market. Actually, I'll just read this. The chart shows the percentage difference between the fair value logarithmic regression line for the total cryptocurrency market, The fair value logarithmic regression line has been set to 100%. Therefore, a 42% upwards difference from the fair value corresponds to a value of 142% in the chart. So as you can see, like the crypto market is just slightly overvalued compared to the logarithmic regression line. Now, if you don't know what that is, we can show it here in a second, but you can see we're just slightly overvalued. Compared to in the past, last cycle, we got up to a valuation of about 400%. Right now, we're at about, what is that? 16% overvalued. This was 300% and 325% overvalued. So I'm not too worried. This is the logarithmic regression line, by the way. You can see over time, crypto just becomes more valuable. Now, there are overvaluation times and undervaluation times, but we're right about at the correct valuation. And the cool thing about this is it just is a steady stair step up. For example, if you think we're going to peak out in the cycle or at the end of next year, let's call it November, the fair value is about $4.6 trillion. Right now, we're at about $3.7 trillion. So even if we just stayed at the fair value, you would expect the whole crypto market to go up about another $1 trillion. But as we saw from the previous chart, it typically goes overvalued, right? So again, 4.5 trillion will be the fair value at the end of next year. If we got up to an overvaluation of like 300%, that means that we would be 4x that 4.5 trillion, which would be about $18 trillion. There's so many good risk metrics. I would sign up for this. I think it's just a drop in the bucket for this cycle, like what you could spend. Sometimes I have to remind myself that like it's okay spending a little bit of money to be able to get access to stuff like this that could make me a lot more money or save me a lot more money or, you know, produce me a lot more money throughout the bull run. So there's that link underneath the video in case you want to check it out. Again, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link to CoinW and you get access to that private trading group as well. They have swing trades and scalp trades on there, different trading videos. Yeah, I think we're in a great place. Let me know your thoughts on this cycle and where we are underneath the video. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one.